Ho! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Megavision Show. Today is November the 19th, 2021. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gracious. Oh, me. Yes, and joining me this week, his house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening, and it's usually quite loud. His mum, she's so house proud. Nothing ever slows her down, and a mess is not allowed. It's Chris Powell!
I don't even try anymore to guess what songs these are coming from.
Oh dear. Do you want me to tell you that one?
Sure, yeah, give me a... Yeah.
It's Our House by Madness. The great 80s band from the UK, if you know them.
Can you sing the song for us, at least?
Can I? I don't. No, I can't. I can attest. I know the words and I know the music, but I cannot sing. So,
all right. Well, we won't do that to the listeners. Welcome everybody who's here joining us. I'm getting the stream pulled up on my phone, and as
fantastic. Okay. Anyway, let's roll on. So as always, we've got a great show for you. We've got some hot and spicy news for you, where we'll be chatting about how Xbox has basically declared its love for emulation. Awesome. Sega's Yakuza studio is working on Yakuza 8. Warner Brothers is working on its own multiverse game. What? And Alien Isolation, one of the scariest games I've ever played, is coming to mobile? Huh? Well, we'll find out more about that a bit later on. Plus, also later on, Chris and I will be getting killed a lot in Halo Infinite, the beta online multiplayer that's happening right now. So stay tuned and watch that carnage unfold. But yeah, with that, let's kick off the show. Yep. So, we're doing things a little bit differently this week. Instead of doing our chill set where we play a game at the start, we're going to do that at the end. We're going to go through what we've been up to, some of the news, looking at some recent releases first, and then we'll go into the gaming session, because I think that's going to work out a little bit better. I think it's going to be a bit easier for everyone involved. So, without further ado, Chris, buddy, what have you been up to this week?
So I've had a mission, probably for the past maybe week or two, to reclaim my Xbox account, because I'll say Odin has taken that thing over, man. It's ridiculous. Like,
I thought you'd been hacked or something. I was like, well, this is new information. I mean, right? Okay, from your own kid, from your own child.
I think I might have rather have gotten it hacked. It probably would have just been way easier. Instead, because what he ended up doing is he ended up like using my account to play online on like Roblox and Minecraft and eventually Fortnite over the past 2 or 3 years. He ended up eventually getting his own account, but for some reason it didn't have the ability to, like, he didn't have Xbox Gold, so he couldn't play online, so he'd use mine. And for the longest time, I wasn't really playing a ton of online games, so I didn't really care what he was doing with it. And he had added like almost over 500 people on my friends list of people who had no idea who they were.
Wow.
And I was like, good Lord, what am I going to do here? And so, like I said, I'm trying to reclaim it because I want to start playing Halo Infinite more and really get into that. We'll talk more about it and play it later. But that's kind of got me more excited to just kind of get back into Xbox gaming and everything else. So I'm trying to get it all back together, trying to get my shit back together, as it were. Yeah. And so the thing I've realized is there's no like intuitive way in any sort of app that Microsoft has available to manage your friends list on Xbox, to go in and quickly mass remove people from your friends list. You literally have to go in and each person go down the list, click their name, like go to like change friendship and then remove friend and then confirm it.
Right.
And I had to do that for almost like, I think it was close to 450 people on there. And now my friends list, so that's taken me well over a couple of weeks to actually get done because I would go out of my mind just sitting there doing it over and over again. So I do it in like small chunks of time when I'm there, usually in the morning when I'm having my cup of coffee. I'll just go through, try to get through like 40 or 50 people at a time. And I could say that I've now finally cleared it completely of all of these phantom people on my friends list. I've completely reclaimed it. And now my friends list is a whopping 56 people.
Ooh, I think it's more than what I've got on my Xbox account. Like, I think I maybe have like 10, 12 people. But
what's great is the one thing I wanted to do, and I want to keep it this way, is I want to be able to, through my friends list, see the person and know who they are. Yeah. Whether it's I know them in real life or whether I know them in Megavisions or whatever, I don't care. But I just want to know who these people are in some form or fashion. But what was really cool going through the list, it kind of made me a little sad a bit and just nostalgic in a good way because, man, there were so many people there that I realized, like, these are people from, like, the old Sega Nerds days, like Kuma and, like, Psycho Clerk, cool. and some of the other people that we used to play, you know, like Halo 2 with back in the day, and we'd play Crimson Skies with, and, you know, all these other crazy, stupid games. And I mean, I guess it all was wrapped up in this whole, you know, Xbox, you know, 20th anniversary stuff. And it's just very cool. It's awesome. But I will say, for as much great stuff that Xbox and Microsoft is doing these days, I will say, get your shit together on mass removing friends, because I guarantee you, I'm not the only person whose child has overtaken their you know, friends list or their account like that. So you know what? Yeah, it's my fault, I guess, as his parent that let him do that. But you know, it's not, you know, it's not as bad as, I guess, the time that he ended up spending like over $100 on fucking Fortnite on PlayStation.
Oh my god!
Back then, that's when he was man. This was about like, because Fortnite's been around like 3 years or so now, right? It's been a while, and that shit. And he was man. He must have been about 6, and he bought over $100 worth on a PlayStation 4. Because I didn't have it locked down as, you know, need a password or anything, because no one was ever on it. And he ended up, I had downloaded it and he got on and played it. And yeah, long story short, I was pissed at that. So I locked all that stuff down. So,
man,
lesson learned, Graham. When you have your little ones, don't let them overtake your Xbox account, man.
Yeah, yeah. I do wonder how many people I do have this problem. Yeah, sure. It must happen more often than, like, you know, 1 or 2 people. It must be quite a big thing.
Well, it's only probably something that's been, you know, probably within this last generation, because in years past you could let your kids play and they didn't care. They're playing whether it's like playing Mario Kart, and it's just like a local game, and, you know, so it's not gonna have any effect on your account or anything else. Yeah. Well, now younger kids are playing online games, and they want to be able to talk and play and do all this other stuff with their friends and other kids, you know. And so there's a lot more pressure for them wanting to get on and do that. And so if they can't, you know, have an accessible and like an internet accessible account or whatever to be able to do that, then they want to get on your shit. And if you're not strong, man, you got to be strong. I'll tell you what, I wasn't strong enough, and look what happened to me. I could be your future, so don't let it happen.
Oh man,
that's funny.
Yeah. well done for organising. So you've organised your Xbox account, and you've also organised the Megavisions Google Drive. So look at you, busy guy.
Yeah, man. I've just been doing lots of organizational things lately, and I feel like it helps bring so much peace to my life when I feel like stuff is getting organized. I hate that chaos. And I was just telling Graham, like our Google Share Drive that we use on Megavisions has just had crap in it, just dating back to when we originally launched our Kickstarter, and even before then, like back in 2015. Yeah, it's crazy. And so I've been going through and organizing all of it, and I'm probably about 80% done with it, but I'm very proud of it. And so every time we have a meeting, I make sure to point it out and make all the guys look at it. So
like it.
Little behind the scenes stuff. So outside of that, Graham, I do want to talk a little bit about what I've been watching.
Okay.
And I know it's something that you don't typically watch, but I want to get you on this train with me, because I feel like now is the best time to jump on the train. And I'm talking about some pro wrestling, Graham. And I want to talk to you about AEW for a little bit, because I am a huge fan of All Elite Wrestling. I've been watching since they've started this thing a couple years ago. But dude, they've been knocking it out of the park with some really awesome shows. And they just recently had, last weekend, they just had their most recent pay-per-view called Full Gear. And they had a couple really amazing matches. So I don't know if you've ever heard of CM Punk. He used to wrestle in WWE.
I recognize the name,
10 years ago. Yeah, I mean, he was a massive star. And I mean, he still is in pop culture and, everything. He's done stuff for Marvel. And so he's been around even when he's been away from WWE. But anyway, he's finally come back to wrestling. It's a big thing. And he wrestled this dude, Eddie Kingston, who is kind of this he's kind of like an everyday kind of dude, a journeyman wrestler who's been kind of down on his luck, never achieved his potential through, his own missteps and, just kind of getting in his own way and whatever else. And they came and had this really awesome match that I think you should go check out. CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. And the second match on the card that was really, really good too, Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega. Have you heard of Kenny Omega before? He does a lot of streaming and video game work. And in fact, he's one of the heads of AEW's game division. So he's helping with their video game stuff.
Awesome. I actually, as you're talking about that, I just Googled CM Punk, and the first thing that came up was some news stories from the UK about his fight with Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, no, it's very, very good. And then, and so that was on Saturday or Sunday. And then on Dynamite, which is on Wednesday, I was super excited because Jay Lethal was debuting against Sammy Guevara, who is the TNT champion. And so the TNT championship right now is kind of like the second tier belt. They've got the AEW championship. So this would be kind of if it was in the in the WCW days, it would be the TV championship, or in WWE, it would be maybe the Intercontinental Championship or something like that. So it's kind of the second tier belt. But anyway, Jay Lethal is this awesome veteran wrestler who I feel has not been given a proper time on a big stage of national TV to kind of show his stuff. And he has finally been let go, actually, because Ring of Honor is this other organization that just recently released all their wrestlers because of just financial issues related to COVID and everything else. So it was this big deal in the past couple of weeks in the wrestling industry. Actually, lots of craziness actually has been going on.
Wow.
And in fact, WWE's been releasing more people. More people just got released today. So in fact, it's a really crazy time in the wrestling industry, not even just from the content and the stuff on screen between AEW going up against WWE, but behind the scenes, there's so much going on right now. And the wrestling industry is changing drastically in front of our eyes right now, especially in WWE, because they're reshaping their whole brands and everything with their sub brand was NXT and everything. So Long story short, I know that I threw a lot at you, but the point is, you got to jump into wrestling right now. I think you should give it a shot, Graham. AEW is awesome, and in fact, they have their Friday night show called AEW Rampage, which airs 10 Eastern here Friday nights. So I don't know what that is for you, or I'm sure they probably air like a Saturday showing in the UK or something that's a little bit more appropriate for not having to wait and sit that shit at like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should get into wrestling a bit more, because then I can actually understand half of those acronyms you threw at me just then. Because I have no idea what half of that stuff is. I've heard of some of those words, but okay, yeah, no, cool. I mean, I'm not against wrestling or anything. I've just never really watched it. It's never been one of those things that I've been really drawn into. Like I've seen a couple of matches back in the day, especially, which were fun and entertaining, but it's never been one of those things that's made me want to go, "Oh, I want to watch the next wrestling match." It's just like, if it's on, I'll be like, "Oh, cool, I'll watch this. This is cool. Yeah, I'm enjoying this." Yeah. But although I tell you one thing that actually did make me want to start watching wrestling, which is it's a movie. It's actually a British movie, but it's got The Rock in it as well, called Fighting with My Family. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't seen it, but I know what it's about. It's the story of Paige and her family.
Yeah. And I didn't realize it was based on a true story until the very end, when they sort of started talking it. Like, at the end of, just before the end of those movies, they sort of go, and so went on to live a happy life or whatever, But yeah, they're like, I was like, oh wow, like what? Like, yeah, and I found it a very entertaining movie and seemed like really good. And the Rock's only got a cameo in it, really. Like, he's in for a few scenes, but he's actually he's so funny in it. Like, he's really good. But
yeah, I think he kind of had some more to do from like a producer or some sort of like executive something. I don't know. I think he had more of a behind the scenes role.
Yeah. But they kind of had him on the posters and stuff to help sell the movie. I think.
Probably, yeah.
But if people don't know about that movie or anything, the girl in it who plays Paige, she plays Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson's sister in the Black Widow movie. So if you've seen that and you think she's really cool, go and check it out, because she is badass. Like, her fighting and stuff in it is brilliant. So yeah, really, really cool. Anyway, is there anything else you've been up to or watching or doing stuff?
The other thing I wanted to say is, like, I'm really hoping to go see Ghostbusters Afterlife this weekend. It's man, that one snuck up on me. Why did this not come out like a few weeks ago during October? I don't know why it's releasing in November now, but that one just completely snuck up on me. And I'm just like, wow, this is this weekend. But I've been looking forward to this one for a really long time. And everything I've seen, and in fact, I've only watched that first trailer that they came out with. I've tried to stay away from everything else. So I want to go in as blind as possible, but I have high hopes for it, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Is that something you want to go see that one at all? Yeah,
I do. It's one of those movies I'm apprehensive about, because it's kind of it's a childhood favorite of mine, and sometimes when they do like these sequels or remakes or whatever, I'm always apprehensive of them. But
I thought you loved the last Ghostbusters movie that they just did.
Get Out. God damn it. But that was one of those movies that I didn't see in the cinema. I saw it on like a catch up on Netflix or whatever it is, on one of the streaming services. And I was thinking, is this one of those movies that's actually not that bad, but all the critics hate it and people have gone off on it because it's a remake and basically they've got an all-female cast? And I watched it and I was like, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Like, I was genuinely... By the end of it, I was like, that was just so bad. I just did not enjoy it. Anyway, this one, though, some people at work have seen it. They saw it like yesterday or the day before or whenever. And they've all basically said it's not amazing, but they've really enjoyed it, if that makes sense. They're like, they don't think it's quite as good as the originals, but they were like, they really enjoyed it. And they think it's, a good movie, basically. So yeah, I'm quietly happy to see it now. Quite confident.
I feel like that's what a lot of these movies are like, that are coming back and just kind of like the Bill and Ted movie. that was released like last year, and
Still
then
haven't seen
the new Matrix movie. Like those movies look like they're fine. You know, like the Bill and Ted movie, it was fine. It was fun.
Yeah.
But you could tell it was just done on a budget, and it was fine for what it was. I feel like this movie might be that, but I think this is going to be on a bigger budget. I think it'll be good. I think it's great to focus on kids. I think that's a smart way to do it.
Yeah.
You bring in a whole new generation of young kids who love Slimer and, you know, have kids that are relatable. I think it's the smart way to do it. And I'm looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it should be good.
I just want to throw that out there. Hopefully I can see that. So next week, maybe we could talk about it.
Yeah.
So if you go see it, Graham, you go see it, and maybe we do some sort of spoiler review for next week.
Ooh, that could be fun. Yeah.
We'll watch the other Ghostbusters movie that you love so much as well.
Get out. Show over.
Oh, no.
So what have I been up to? I'm still house hunting still. I found a house. Well, we found 2 houses that we liked, and we put an offer on one, and then someone else outbid us basically and went way higher than we were willing to go because the house needed a lot of work. And we're like, we don't really want to spend much more because we're going to have to spend that on fixing it up anyway. And there's another house we really, really love, but it was kind of right at the top of our budget and needs a lot of work doing. And basically they sort of said, you have to have offers over the asking price. I was like, okay. And the guy said, and just so you know that some people have offered a lot more than the asking price. And the asking price was like literally the top of our budget. So I was like, yeah, we can't afford this. No, this isn't going to happen.
Yeah,
so,
man, we were dealing with the same stuff, you know, when we were trying to buy our house. I mean, we had really kind of specific things that we were looking for, because obviously I was trying to find something that we could use for, you know, the Megavision's offices and everything. But we found a couple really great places that were in some traditional style of neighborhoods, and we put in offers on them. And like you guys, like we just got outbid, and it was really frustrating. So I feel your pain, man. It's a crazy time to try to buy a house. Still, it seems like.
Yeah. And there's one we're going to look at tomorrow, which fingers crossed, when you look at it from the outside, it doesn't look like the best house, but on paper and like seeing the pictures and the layout, and you actually, I don't know if you do it in America at the moment, but a lot of places are doing these virtual tours that like almost like a Google Street View walking through the houses. So you get a better feel of the houses. So I did that. And it seems like a decent space. The garden's pretty nice for the area, and it's got a garage, like sort of separate. So in theory, I could have my own mega barn, basically. That could be my office games room type place. So yeah, that would be my idea. If we got that, that'd be great. But we're going to see it tomorrow. It might end up being terrible because we've done that a few times. We looked at pictures online and gone, this place looks great. And then we got there and gone, no, it's not. So you just
that happened to us too. I saw. When we looked at this place, it had that cool like virtual walkthrough, but it had this other neat thing where you could kind of like I think it was on some sort of app, but you had to use your phone or like a tablet, but you could like pinch and zoom, and it like was almost like it showed like all the levels of the house, and you could kind of like move it around and stuff. It almost looked like what it reminded me of is that scene in the Resident Evil movie where it shows like the tunnel, and it pulls back and like scans around. It shows like all the underground into the city and shit. That's what it reminded me of. But it looked really cool because you could see like, man, because we have like 3 stories and then the basement and stuff. So it was like really tall. It looked crazy.
Yeah, that's I think a few places have done that over here because I remember seeing that on one of the houses I looked at, but not all of them do it. But yeah, it's kind of something from like an old like 90s movie, like enhance the image and like you sort of like spin it around, and go, lock the front door, spin the thing. Beep. Like,
I felt like Tom Cruise. Like, what was that movie where he would go in the future to stop crime?
Minority Report.
Yeah, Minority Report. Man, that's a good movie.
Yeah, that made me fall back in love with Tom Cruise. Well, not fall in love with him, but for a while I just didn't like him.
Well, what made you fall out of love with him?
I don't know. That's the weird thing. I feel like there's just a period where I was like, Tom Cruise, don't really like him. Don't know why. Can't even remember why. Don't know if there was a bad movie I watched or something. But so it's like because there's certain actors who, when they release their movies, I'm like, that person's in it. I don't really want to see them. Like I have.
Well, he was really in our face for a long time with the Mission Impossible movies. Like there was a Mission Impossible movie seeming like every other year in like the 2000s and stuff. I think maybe we just.
That's what it was. Mission Impossible 2. That's the movie. That was the movie that I watched and was like, this is terrible. I really hate Mission Impossible 2. I actually enjoy all the other ones though. I actually like the other ones.
What was it about Mission Impossible 2 that you didn't like?
Most of the stunts were just like ridiculously over the top, but to the extremes. I quite enjoy a big stunt and stuff. They took it too far, but also the whole face swapping thing. Like in the first one, that was like, so they had it in the first one, which is fine. But they used it as like a one-off sort of thing. In this, it was literally every scene, someone was like face swapping. And there's like a bit where he managed to do a face swap on a bad guy when they were fighting in the corridor or something like 2 minutes earlier, did a face swap, came back in as the bad guy and like had his face on the bad guy and going, yeah, I broke his jaw. And then like they shoot him. You think, oh my God, Tom Cruise is dead. And then he walks out of the room and takes off the bad guy's face. And, oh no, that's Tom Cruise. And it turns out the other guy is the bad guy. And he's just walked out and managed to escape from the bad guys. And then like the bad guys have it as well, because like a bad guy's talking to a girl as Tom Cruise and like a sort of, she's like kind of a sort of playing against both sides or whatever. And yeah, and so she's meant to be the girlfriend of the bad guy or whatever. And then like they're having like a nice moment, they're talking and then she walks off. And then then suddenly Tom Cruise pulls off his face and it turns out it's the bad guy. What a twist. So the bad guy knows that she's playing him. And it's just like, it's like every scene I was just like, that guy's not going to be that person. That guy's not going to be that person. You know, it's just drove me nuts.
That was probably what everyone loved one of the most about in that Mission Impossible was that part, but also the scene where him like rappelling down, because they did that in the first one.
Yeah, the lasers.
That was really cool.
So good.
But
Mission Impossible 1 was a good fun movie. Yeah. Mission Impossible 4 though, I thought was amazing. That's like I genuinely like, this is a freaking amazing action movie. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Let's move on slightly. Oh yeah, just a couple of things I've been watching. So I finished watching season 3 of Final Space on Netflix today. Have you seen Final Space at all, Chris?
I don't think so. What is that?
Oh, it's great. It's a animated show. I think in America it's made and published by a different studio, but over internationally it's like a Netflix show basically. So basically what it's about is it's really hard to explain it unless you've seen it, but it's kind of like a bit of a slightly wacky comedy cartoon thing about this guy called Gary, who is at the very start of the show, he's on a spaceship, but it's actually a prison ship, basically, and he's been floating in space around the Earth for like 1,000 days or so. I can't remember how long it is. It's a long time. But he's in love with this girl who's part of like this intergalactic like enterprise, like Star Trek Federation type thing. Right. And like he's in love with her and he keeps sending her voice messages and stuff every day. And he's going slightly crazy on the ship because all he's got is this AI robot who like loves him and he hates. And it's got the computer AI who won't let him do what he wants to do. So he keeps calling himself the captain and the computer's like, you're not the captain. You are a prisoner. And like there's stuff about like he really wants a cookie and like he keeps going to the cookie thing and trying to get a cookie and the AI keeps like going, you have now added an extra day to your prison sentence and stuff. He's like, God damn it. But yeah, basically there's this evil alien called the Lord Commander who's got these magical powers and he is after this other alien who's this little jelly blob thing. And basically, the human sort of bumps into this jelly blob and instantly becomes best friends with him because he's like, yeah, you're awesome. And the little jelly blob's like, I can't really talk properly. He's like, yeah, that's right, buddy. He's like really weird. He's like slightly crazy. And then it's basically about him like on the run from the Lord Commander and stuff. But it gets so epic and stuff. Like I think the first few episodes you might watch and go, what is this? But the storyline, it makes sense. Like as you get through, like the story actually really connects together really well. And then season 2 and season 3 onwards, it's more like a normal storyline, I guess. But it's really cool. But the annoying thing is they haven't confirmed if they're going to do a season 4 yet. But the show creator really wants to. He says he's planned 6 seasons. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's awesome.
See, that's why.
Yeah,
so man, that's why it really is just kind of you're playing a little bit of game of roulette when you jump on to shows these days, like early into their lives, because man, I can't tell you how many shows that I started watching that only made it like a season or two, and then they just keep getting cut off. And it seems like now, more so than, in the past where, you'd have like the network TV cuts and stuff like that, each season or each year. But it seems like with the streaming wars being what they are these days, it seems like these companies are so quick to cut these series if they're not performing up to whatever they may be. And that sucks, because a lot of times you get, fans disappointed because their shows get ripped out from underneath them.
Yeah.
And that's the worst feeling. It sucks.
It really is. Yeah,
hopefully that won't happen.
Yeah, I really hope it doesn't. Because especially if these planned 6 seasons, it's almost like, there's going to be an ending. I know it costs money for the studio, so, I'm not a business exec, but there's some of those shows that like just go on forever and ever and there's no sign of an ending. And you think, yeah, I can kind of understand if they haven't got an ending planned. But it's nice if you can wrap up a show and they know where it's going to go and finish. I think that's always that'd just be really good if they could do that. Except for Game of Thrones, where they could have just stopped it 2 seasons before the end, because that was just the ending of that was just not good. But okay, anyway, yeah. Another show I've been watching is The Good Doctor. I don't know if you know of that at all. Okay.
Oh, is that the one? Is that the one with the kid from? That it's kind of like a Doogie Howser-esque show.
You could say that, yeah. And so he's quite a young guy. It turns out he's British as well, which I did not realise from the show. And except at the start of one episode, he talks in his normal accent because he's talking to the camera saying this special episode is about so-and-so. And he has an English accent. I was like, whoa. But basically, he is a young doctor. He's just come out of medical school. He's going to a teaching hospital somewhere in America. I can't actually remember. I want to say Denver, but I don't know if that's right, actually. Anyway, somewhere, a big American city.
It's in America.
It's in America, yeah. It's not one of the big ones. It's not like New York, but it's like set somewhere else. Anyway, he has severe autism. And that's kind of his thing. He's got severe autism. So he's super intelligent because he's like, past medical school. He can really remember how the human body works. So he works out diagnoses really well in his head. He he almost pictures it in his mind and can work out when something's not working. He can work out what's gone wrong. But he's really bad at communicating with people and, social interactions and stuff. So that's his downfall. And it's a whole thing about the stigma of him being autistic and going into this world where you basically got to look after people and save people's lives. And there's a couple of people at the hospital who are for him, and they sort of like the president of the hospital gets him the job basically because he says he's really good at what he does. I've seen him in action. I support him, and the rest of the board is reluctant to get this kid in, but some of them see its value, and basically the kid starts to work at the hospital. But it's about the doctors and the patients working with him and stuff. And it's a comedy drama. So there's some episodes which are actually quite emotional. There's also a lot of funny moments in it. It's not like a full blown comedy like Scrubs was. But it's a show that's got some good humor in it and some really funny scenes, but also some very emotional ones. And I've become addicted to it. I've been watching it pretty much at least 1 or 2 episodes every night. Because I found it on the streaming services over here, and I'm like, oh my god, love it. And it became quite poignant because a few episodes were based around COVID. So I've really caught up because last year, I guess they were doing some episodes about COVID and how it's affecting, hospital workers and stuff and the staff, and really, really hit the nail home, I reckon. But yeah, really good.
That
really good
actor, I was looking him up while you were talking about there. His name's Freddie Highmore.
Yes.
I do recognize him because he's been in a few other shows that I watched, and he was actually really good. He's very good at being a weird, kind of creepy kid person. He was in Bates Motel. Did you see any of that? Which was really good.
No, I know
he
of it.
He played a young Norman Bates. So you can't get any creepier than Norman Bates, man.
Okay,
yeah. And then he was also Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the one with Johnny Depp.
Really?
He was he was Charlie in that one.
I've only seen one scene of that movie twice, and I was just like, I don't like this.
I would say smoke a bunch of weed and watch that movie.
Okay.
That's probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll be really impressed with this one. He was one of the voice actors in the Golden Compass video game.
Oh, what? Who did he?
So yeah, take it. Pantalimon.
Oh, that's Lyra's demon. Her little sidekick demon thing, the little animal that follows her. Oh, okay. Wow.
So yeah, I mean that's hitting like real close to home. It was a Sega published game, right? Sega published that, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that was a Sega game. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh my god, it all comes around.
So Freddie Highmore, Sega actor.
Yeah, let's get him on the show. Do you remember that time when you were a kid and you did this video game voiceover thing? Like what?
Didn't you talk about it on the show? I think you reviewed that game and gave it a really bad score.
We both reviewed it. I reviewed the Wii version, I think, and I think you reviewed a different version.
The PSP version, I bet.
Possibly. And you gave it a terrible score, and I gave it an average score because I didn't hate it. I was like, I had some fun with this game. It's fine. Like, don't go straight out and buy it, but at the same time, it's not the worst game I've ever played. So, but yeah, I think you gave it a really, really low score.
It probably deserved it. Yeah. It definitely did.
Man, but with that, I would recommend go watch Final Space, go watch The Good Doctor, and yeah. But with that though, let's kick off the main bit of the show, which is going to be our news of the week. And I can't find my intro button. Where's that gone? Oh God, hold on.
Get your shit together, Graham.
I'm gonna have to do it manually.
We got people watching us. Come on, God damn it, Graham. Jesus.
There we go. On our feature discussion. Sorry. My Stream Deck didn't seem to have the button on it. That's really weird. But yeah, so Chris, we're going to do something slightly differently this week, aren't we? So we're not doing our game session at the start, and we're doing something different with the news of the week. So Chris, do you want to introduce this next little bit?
Sure. We're just going to start doing some of the weekly releases. We're not going to go through and do the entire list, but we're going to go through and just highlight some of the ones that kind of stick out to us and just kind of talk a little bit about them. We're going to try to do that each week from here on out and see where it goes. But we thought it would be a good idea just at the top of the news section just to talk about some of the games that are coming out this week. So there's been a few big hitters, but it's not been a big week this week, it seems like, Graham. I'll tell you some of the multi-console releases, and then we'll get into some of the console-specific ones. Cool. So the big one this week was Battlefield 2042. That was released. It was multi-console across PlayStation, Xbox, PC. I'm not a huge fan of the Battlefield games. I know that there's been some controversy about it. Apparently, it's been getting some pretty bad reviews from like the customer reviews on Metacritic. From what I gather, it seems like they've removed a lot of features that fans were expecting and want in that. So it doesn't seem like some of the fan reaction is all that great so far with Battlefield 2042.
Oh, no,
so
that's not good.
Yeah. I don't play those games, like I said, but for those that do, let us know if you know any more about that. But next up in these...
I was going to say, I do enjoy the Battlefield games. I haven't replayed them much lately, but they've always been really fun. Especially, I think that the fun thing for them is the multiplayer and destructible environments making more fun for me than, say, Call of Duty. I haven't picked this one up yet. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, I guess let's watch this space. I might check it out.
Hang on, I'm on the show. I can't do that right now, buddy. Sorry. The next up, we have Bloodrayne revamped, and then also Bloodrayne 2 revamped. And this one was one that I was kind of interested in. It seems like they've gone through and improved some of the visuals in these games and done a few other upgrades. And I don't know about you. I never really jumped into the Bloodrayne games all that much when they were originally released. What about you, Graham?
Yeah, I never played them. I think because when they originally on PlayStation or PlayStation 2 or something, and that was around the time that, like, you know, the Dreamcast was dying or Dreamcast had died. And I was like, no, not going to play those games. Meh, sort of thing. You know, being a little fanboy shit, basically. So yeah, I never actually got into them. I've seen 2 of the movies by Uwe Boll though, and they were movies, I guess. Like, actually, on the standard of his movies, they weren't terrible. On the standard of good movies, they weren't very good.
I would say if you're stacking Uwe Boll movies, Bloodrayne probably is at the higher end of that, I would imagine. Sure. But I mean, and I also remember this was a weird time because I mean Bloodrayne was very like an overly sexualized character at the time, and I remember too. I mean, they did that with the whole movie, but she was also featured in those. I think there was like a PlayStation, or not PlayStation, but a Playboy issue that was all like female, like video game characters. And I want to say she was like in there big time.
Yeah, because they had they managed to get artists to actually draw some of those female characters topless, and she was one of those ones. But I think Lara Croft was in it, but she was wearing like clothes or whatever. So they were trying to do a whole thing. But yeah, it was slightly controversial because like, topless video game.
Yeah, it was then, but I don't think I don't think you can do that anymore. And it would be interesting to see what the reaction would be. But that's I don't know. I've always wanted to go back, but I'd like to check those out. This one was released on consoles and the Switch. It's a digital release though for $20.
Okay. I might check that out.
Death's Door came out on PS4 and Switch. I want to say that came out on Game Pass a few weeks ago, and I got a chance to play it a little bit. It's one of those roguelike games where you kind of just play through again and again, and you get, you're still improving your, some of your abilities and things like that. You're leveling up a little bit, but it's all about the grind. I want to say that's that one. I'm pretty sure, but this is one we were talking about before too. Is the Disney's classic game collection, which this is another compilation, but this one's interesting because it includes Aladdin, The Lion King, and The Jungle Book.
Because when I first saw this, I was like, I'm sure that came out like a year ago, didn't it? Like the Disney, but this one's including Jungle Book, which is really cool. Because I actually got that on the Game Gear, I think. Jungle Book on the Game Gear. It's a really fun game. And I need to pick this up because Aladdin is it's my favorite Disney movie, but Aladdin on the Mega Drive is one of my favorite games as well. Like, it's to this date, it's still one of my favorite action platformers. I love it. And I will go back and play it occasionally. And I'm a lot better than I was as a kid. I'll tell you that much. That's one of those few games I can go back to and I'm actually better than I used to be.
All right. You know what? Here we go. We're going to see about that, Graham.
No.
Next week, during the chill shows, I challenge you to play Aladdin.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a week to get your shit together. You have 1 week. And we're going to see on the show next week. And everyone watching, we're gonna put it to you, Graham. We'll see how good you are next week at Aladdin. You talk some trash.
Nice.
That'll be fun. So okay, so that's the big multi-console. We'll run through some of the rest of these. On PlayStation 4, we have Disco Elysium, the final cut. Farming Simulator 22. Man, they still crank out those Farming Simulator games.
Oh, yeah. And I'm pretty sure the developers are actually quite close to where I live. Like, they're about an hour's drive away. Because I used to work at one of the offices I worked in was near their studio or something. So, unless they've changed studios or something, but because they won an award and like, hey, they're just down the road from us. Hey, awesome. Carry on.
We also have Nerf Legends, which I don't know anything about that one. Do you think that's going to be like a first-person shooter type game where you're just running around with Nerf guns? That would be probably.
I hope it's got Nerf guns in it, because if it doesn't, I'm already disappointed.
What's Nerf Legends?
It's got Nerf guns in it. It's definitely a Nerf thing. I've just Googled the name. And is it first person or is it third person?
Oh, third person would work too.
Yeah, these screenshots.
While you look that up, Scotty is saying you better get your apples ready because you have no idea what you're in for with this Aladdin challenge, Graham.
My apples will definitely be ready. I'm not going to run out of those bad boys. I don't know if you know, Chris, but you use apples as weapons in Aladdin.
Oh, I know, Graham. I had the game too.
Good.
So
well.
And then we'll keep going. We have. Did you have any more on Nerf Legends?
I can, if you want, we can bring up a trailer for it.
No, we don't need to do that. We'll keep rolling.
Right.
No, I just didn't know if you found out if it was like a first person or third person.
They've got screenshots, but I can't even work out I think it's third person, judging from two of these screenshots. The rest are really hard to tell. So kind of add camera angles, which are like, you can't play a game that angle. That's, but anyway, carry on.
We have Tales of Iron, The Last Stand Aftermath. And then PS5 exclusive this week is Kena Bridge of Spirits, the deluxe edition. Don't know what that one is.
Ooh. Oh, no, that's I know that one. That was revealed before the PlayStation 5 came out. They were doing all the game announcements and stuff for like E3 or whatever. That's the one.
Oh yeah, that one does sound familiar.
I think Rob, our artist, knows someone who works at the studio. Or something.
Yeah, I remember that. There was a little bit of controversy with that
controversy
one,
around it. Yeah, there's something about them taking assets.
I think it was like maybe not properly crediting someone. I don't know. We shouldn't say anything.
We don't know the full story. There was some sort of controversy about it. But yeah, not sure about that. But yeah, that game did look really good though. That was one of the games I was like, oh, I might get a PS5 for this. I mean, I haven't, but I can't get a PS5. They don't exist over here. They literally don't exist. You can't find them.
I know.
Never mind.
Same over here. It's a myth.
Quick
Nerf Legends update.
Sorry, quick Nerf Legends update. It is a first-person shooter. It looks a bit like Fortnite sort of thing. Kind of.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, anyway, there we go. Cool.
They should why make their own game? They should just license all their Nerf stuff in Fortnite. That would be probably better. Anyway. On Switch, we have Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl double pack that was released this week. I don't know if is this a whole new Pokemon game, Graham? I don't follow the whole Pokemon releases.
As our resident Pokemon expert, having played a whole total of no Pokemon games. I've never played a Pokemon game. I've seen a few episodes though of the TV show. I think this is a whole new game. I don't know, but sometimes they release them and they're like remakes of the Game Boy games, just with a new.
Yeah, I think that's what this might be because it's like Diamond and Pearl was released years ago, so it's Brilliant and Shining. So I assume there's probably some.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know.
Scotty's talking trash. Scotty, you asshole.
Oh, yeah, no,
I want to talk.
The original story has been faithfully reproduced. There you go. So, yeah, it's based on the original ones. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care.
We'll run through the rest of these Switch releases because the rest of these, I just love the names of them because every week there's a bunch of just crap released on the Switch. Everyone knows that. But I picked a few that I thought were great named. We have... Would You Like to Run an Idol Cafe? Whiskey Mafia, Leo's Family, and the one I loved the most this week was Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion.
Yeah. I love it. And that's a top-down style Zelda-style game by the looks of it, except you're a turnip, basically.
Committing tax evasion. I
love it.
All right, let's move over to Xbox real quick, and we'll run through these. We have Deer Simulator, your average everyday deer game, which is released digitally. Despotism 3K, Exo 1, Fae Tactics, Space Moth Lunar Edition, which that actually looked kind of cool, and I wanted to look at that one. We have Tai the Tasmanian Tiger HD. It's got a physical release for $30, which that's always one of those that I always thought released on Dreamcast, but I can't remember if it did. There was all those other mascot characters in that time frame that were getting releases. Was that wasn't a Dreamcast release?
No, right? I think it was a lot later than Dreamcast. Actually, the original.
Was it? Okay.
Maybe
it's PlayStation 2. Scotty's saying KO the kangaroo. I can't.
Yeah.
Why are there so many names? I hate alliteration.
Yeah.
I think that might be what I'm thinking of.
It was GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox when it first came out, originally. Yeah. 2002. So yeah, just after the Dreamcast basically died or was dying, basically. Well, they're still around because games have been released this year. So yeah. Anyway.
Okay, wait. Is a Tasmanian tiger? Is that the same thing as a thylacine?
What?
A thylacine. Is that the same?
I don't
animal?
understand what word you're saying to me. What's a thylacine?
It's an extinct animal that used to live in Tasmania and in Australia.
Tiger.
I'm just wondering. I think that's the same thing.
Yes, it's a Tasmanian tiger. You are correct. That's what that is. So that he is based on an extinct animal. I didn't realize that. We
brought him back. Thank God. Okay,
nice.
So he's back. No longer extinct. Tai the Tasmanian Tiger, the thylacine, is back.
And he's in HD now. Great. Even better than back thousands of years ago. To actually, there's actually millions of years
reports, and there's more credible reports that thylacines or Tasmanian tigers are actually coming back and not extinct. And there's a lot of really awesome information coming out because I keep up. One of the things I like to keep up with is like cryptozoology stuff. It's always been a fascination of mine. So I keep up with all this stuff about the latest discovered possible animals and all this stuff. But there's a lot of stuff going on in the thylacine community.
Are you being legitimate right now? Or are you
I am. I'm being 100% real. And in fact, I think the Australian, one of their historical organizations, either in Australia or maybe it was New Zealand, but released this like really cool remastered video of one of the last thylacines that was alive, and it was just a video that was just showing it in its cage or whatever. But anyway. I believe that thylacines are still real and are still living somewhere out there, and they'll be discovered very soon. And Tai, the Tasmanian tiger, will not be alone anymore. He'll have his buddies back.
Wow, brilliant!
So that's what I'm hoping for. It'll be a happy ending for all Tasmanian tigers out there, including Tai. There's another game that I saw, and man, it looks really cool. It's called Undungeon. I don't know a lot about it, but I did see a quick trailer for it earlier, and it looks cool. It released pretty much on a lot of console across everything, but it's on Game Pass. So for those of you who got the Game Pass action, jump on that. Otherwise, it's about $20. And then on PC, we have Alien Marauder. We have XO1, Kira Monsters, which sounds kind of interesting. King Under the Mountain. We have a Toy Tinker Simulator, Tunnel of Doom, and Unsafe. So that rounds out the new releases this week.
Nice.
I will say, out of those, I definitely want to be playing some Undungeon this week. That's the one. And then, you know what? Tai the Tasmanian Tiger. I'm going to go out and buy the physical release on that one.
I would like to get my hands on Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion personally, because that did pique my interest. And also, screw it, I want to get the Disney Classic Games Collection, because that sounds awesome.
That one is another one I would like to get the physical version of that. I'd have to see if that one might have, I wonder if that has like some sort of cool collector's edition, maybe.
Probably does, yeah, no doubt. Cool.
So let's jump into the rest of the news.
Cool. Yeah, let's go into the news. Let's. I can bring up my actual screen sharing. So we actually got, stuff to show people for this one. Right, brilliant. So do you want to kick this first one up, or do you want me to take over?
I'll do this one.
Nice.
I think you can get the next two.
Cool.
So this one's really cool because Xbox's Phil Spencer did a recent interview with Axios, and he talked about several different topics, but the one that's really getting everyone excited was him talking specifically on emulation and kind of video game preservation, where he basically said that he thinks emulation is going to be kind of an important part of like the future of the video game industry. And he thinks that companies are eventually going and should like work together to figure out a way where there's some form of legal emulation. Yeah. And this is what I'll quote him on here, so I won't misquote anything that he said. Here's his quote. He says, "My hope, and I think I have to present it that way as of now, is an industry we'd work on legal emulation that allowed modern hardware to run within reason, older executable, allowing someone to play any game." And we were talking a little bit about what that kind of meant. And I think basically what he's just basically saying is that he thinks in the future it would be great if there was some form of, whether it's was it RetroArch or something that could play across all systems, and all the companies would allow as a kind of an official release on that platform, whether it be a third-party app or it would be each company's own internal, developed and published app, but it would allow them to be able to then play these older games and that sort of thing. But man, there's going to be a lot of stuff that they're going to have to work through for something like that to happen. What do you think about his quote there, Graham?
Oh, I actually really like it, and I like the idea that one of the biggest games companies in the world is talking this way as well, because it's one of those things that, yes, in the past emulation has always been, well, most of the time, not anymore actually. Most of the time back in the past, it was a case that emulation was, a big no-no because it was illegal downloading of games, and people were doing it for the wrong reasons. But now we're at a stage where, things like even TVs and stuff, it's getting harder to play games on like modern TVs. Like you can't play light gun games on modern TVs. It's one of those things. I think there have been some sort of light guns in development that will work with LCD screens, but I'm yet to see one that's actually come out and legitimately works. Hopefully one will.
I will say this, the Polymega has its own light gun, and that one, I've already bought that, and it has not yet shipped. Okay. But that's supposed to work on regular TVs.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
So imagine that we'll be able to go back and play all of the Sega CD and Saturn light gun games on regular TVs.
Get some Lethal Enforcers going. Some Virtual Cop and House of the Dead. I'll be up for that. But yeah, it's just one of those things that older consoles, they're sort of slowly dying and stuff. Your discs eventually can get scratched or break or whatever. I know cartridges, they're a bit stronger and things like that, but it's one of those things. But also over time, like I've got tons of freaking consoles, I can't hook them all up to my TV anymore. The Polymega's a good thing that it's going to be able to play multiple systems in one. But it'd be great if in the future, even if it's in like 10, 20 years time, we can turn on our Xbox or PlayStation and have this big library of games, from the Genesis or, Super Nintendo. I know that wouldn't happen on Xbox and, but yeah. And I think that, Microsoft has been sort of dabbling in this for a little while, with some of the backwards compatibility stuff. Sega's tried to do it a little bit, with the Sega Forever stuff, which hasn't worked out quite as we'd all hoped it would, because they were really touting you'd be able to play all the old Sega games, but we've got a handful of Genesis games, basically. I
don't know if they ever said that.
They did. They do. You watch the original trailer. It says every Sega classic from every generation, and it shows the Game Gear, the Master System, Genesis, Saturn popping up.
Well, I mean, it's what Sega does, though. It will come. They just haven't got to it yet. Like Phantasy Star Online 2 was just delayed all that time, and it eventually came out. And they told you it's coming. Wow. And that's what was so frustrating for so long. Every time, like, they would have to comment on Phantasy Star, and they would just like, it's delayed. And so this is the same thing. It's coming. It's just
okay, good. You heard it here first. It's coming. But I mean, yeah, it's so game companies have been dabbling with this. You've also got Antstream Arcade, which does lots of retro games, which is really awesome. You've got PiePacker, which we've been using on the show quite a bit, which is used to play like games and stuff online. There's various services out there now which are legitimizing emulation, and it just makes sense. So what's Phil Spencer saying here it does seem to be like one of the futures for gaming for playing past games, for playing retro games and stuff. And I'm really happy that he's saying it. Like, what are your thoughts then, Chris? Like, are you thinking a similar thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think every gamer is going to agree with what he's saying. But the problem is, it's great because we have someone like Phil Spencer at Xbox right now. You know, someone who I do think, has that right mentality and the right priorities for Xbox, and he's got that game first mentality. I love that. But my worry is that like, how there's got to be a way for to monetize all this, because if there's not, they're not going to continue to do it in the future and in an expanded way that I think, he sees that vision. If there's a way, because I mean, if they can't make money off of it, they're not going to invest. They're not going to continue to invest, money into doing this every generation to do all these things. So if maybe what he's thinking too is that maybe they can look to like open source emulators and find a way to come to agreements to have those on their system, and then you could plug in your own ROMs and play them that way. I don't know if that's what he's looking at, or a way to do that. But outside of this, though, I think we are seeing another because we have the Limited Run and all these other companies that have sprung up and now have gone back and are publishing older games and indie games on physical media on current systems, which does help some of that preservation aspect, because you're getting some of these older games and at least they're existing on current media and on current platforms. Outside of that, though, I mean, I don't know what else you're going to be able to do. I mean, unless you can preserve your physical cartridges and your physical media, but outside of that, of uploading them and storing them, I mean, how else do you think like preservation should be done from the game company's standpoint outside of that?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one. I think one thing we should look at also is this quote towards the end, where he says that, I think in the end, if we said, hey, anybody should be able to buy any game or own any game and continue to play, that seems like a great North Star for us as an industry. So from that little part of the quote, I can almost imagine that perhaps he's thinking for sort of from now, basically, start preserving these games from now. So for like the next Xbox, the next PlayStation, those systems should be able to play Xbox One games, for example, or PS4 games, whatever, through emulation. So if I've bought a digital game on Xbox, I should still be able to keep playing it for the next 10 Xboxes that come out, basically. So maybe that's what he's thinking of more rather than like just the pure retro stuff. Maybe that's sort of where he's looking at, because I think for the retro stuff, you could do game by game emulation, kind of like what it has been done in the past on Xbox Live and stuff. You've been able to download old Sega games, but Sega vintage collections and stuff. Maybe that's one way that you are paying for each individual game. Or maybe there could be some sort of Game Pass type thing, or like the Switch, Switch Online service where you pay a subscription and you get this console for this subscription. For like $3 a month, you get Genesis. Another $3 you can play Xbox original games or something. I don't know. Like that's one option to keep the money coming in, I guess. Because I think personally, I think a lot of people will be happy to pay for services where you are getting hundreds of retro games. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. So I know what you mean. To do this, you need money to basically keep the games up and running and stuff, and being able to download them and everything. Open source is obviously an easy way. Like, it'd be great if the industry said, okay, everything up to and including Dreamcast is now free on, RetroArch. Yeah, we don't care. We're not going to sue you or anything. You go download those. Go nuts. But
well, because like what I was saying though is that there's another almost like smaller industry, like a sub-industry that's starting to grow up even more so, in that they're going back and publishing some of these older games, like Gynog recently. Like that Gynog came out last week, and that was something that probably none of the bigger companies were ever going to go seek after and re-release on their own. Like Sega, that probably wouldn't be in Sega's. The return on investment for something like that isn't big enough. But it seems like we're seeing some of these smaller publishers that can go back and work through all the licensing issues and the legalities and get that squared away, get those games ported and updated for current platforms and add in some of the quality of life stuff and get those games released again. So
yeah,
I'm excited about that. And I hope that kind of stuff continues because a lot of times we say, like, I've been complaining for years, I know, that for all these Sega compilations that get released, it seems like it's just the same games over and over again. But now you're seeing these smaller publishers that are getting the rights to these older games and re-releasing them. So yeah, that's a cool trend, and I hope to see more of that continue. And that way we will be getting cooler releases of some of these weirder and more obscure games that oftentimes are really rare and super expensive. So the only way to buy them or play them is to emulate or, pirate them, emulate them, or pay for the physical media, which is oftentimes not very,
that's
very cheap to do. So, if you can pay $10 to play Gynog and a cool version of it with, the quality of life stuff, I'm all for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I hope to see more of that.
Totally. And should we just, because you mentioned about, licensing and stuff, should we just quickly mention about, what Microsoft recently said after they released like something like 76 backwards compatible games on Xbox, but they also said that it's actually it says the latest and final edition of this. So basically they've kind of announced that we're not going to be doing any more backwards compatibility, of these old Xbox games, basically, Xbox original and Xbox 360 titles on the latest consoles. So, but one of the things they've said is we have reached the limit of our ability to bring new games to the catalog from the past due to licensing, legal, and technical constraints. Thank you for being part of this journey with us. So yeah, what you were sort of saying there is, about licensing and stuff. That seems to be a big blocker, really. And I guess that sort of partly comes down to, music licensing, and that legal side, I guess, is some of these old developers have actually closed down now and stuff, some of them, and but they or a programmer might own the rights to a character, which the studio no longer owns, basically, or something, which does happen all the time. And we know that with Sega in the past, that's just been a big thing. And
I think a lot of it too, and I've seen, I think Sega, and I think this was some of the issues with Shenmue for a little while, with Shenmue 1 and 2, was that even some of the middleware that some of these developers used can play a role in not allowing some of this stuff to happen. Because then you have to go and create new contracts with this middleware developer for this new thing, because that original contract didn't include the scope of any future digital re-releases or anything like that. So it completely and so that's why a lot of these companies are just like, it's not worth the hassle to do all of that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what cuts a lot of that out. So that's a bummer that, basically there's a lot of reasons why some of these games are never going to be able to come out. And I don't have the full list in front of me. I was saying I would like to go through and look at the list of games that just are never going to be backwards compatible and look through those and just kind of be sad because we won't be able to play them.
Yeah.
But there's still a bunch of OG Xbox games that I could think of that I would love to be able to go back and play. Just be able to pop in my my Xbox One or Series X when I eventually get one of those. But all those old Majesco published games on the Xbox, man, Majesco was such a cool publisher on the original Xbox. They had some really interesting games. For one, they published Advent Rising, which is one of my favorite Xbox games. And Graham, we played through that.
We did. Yeah,
I know you enjoy that one. But outside of that, they had some really interesting other releases. They had a Spy versus Spy game, which I always wanted to get my hands on that, just for whatever reason. I don't think I ever picked it up. They had a cool game called Raises Hell, where it kind of flipped the script, where you were this kind of it was a third person like kind of action fighting game, but you're this big monster and you're fighting these like cute cuddly things, but the cute cuddly creatures were actually like hyper violent, and it was like a really violent game. And there were a few others that I thought were really great. And I don't know how many of those are backwards compatible, but stuff like that is just kind of those games are those are going to be the games that could get lost, like when you're talking about stuff that's like, if we want to continue talking about the Xbox ecosystem, because it's Phil Spencer talking about this, and maybe he's not talking about like pre-Xbox games and preservation. But when we're talking about just in the Xbox, like look at the Xbox One or the original Xbox, and there's probably many games that are going to be left out. And a lot of those are probably going to be sports games too, because, like all the NFL 2K games, how cool would it be to be able to play NFL 2K5 or whatever else on Series X and have like all these new because I will say, man, 2K5 is still to this day for me is the best football game of all time. It's my favorite one. If I could play that game and then get updated rosters, and then maybe have like FPS boost and maybe some of the other cool little things that they could do with these games, oh man, that would be great. But it's a bummer that we're never going to have it. And so I'm all in Phil Spencer's corner here to close this segment out. I hope that the future that he sees and wants in the video game industry is something that we can find and navigate our way towards, because that would be amazing. I think it's going to be a hard road to get there, because money's going to be always the thing that's going to get in the way for this. And so if they can figure out a way to do it, then great. I would be all on board, but we'll see.
And just to tie a couple of things, Majesco, guess which 2 games they published, which we mentioned before? They're actually just been re-released this week.
Oh, I bet they did the Bloodrayne games.
Yeah, they did Bloodrayne and Bloodrayne 2. They published those. They also did. I didn't know this was a game. Jaws Unleashed, so like based on the Jaws movies, with Appaloosa Interactive, who made Echo the Dolphin, Defender of the Future on the Dreamcast.
Interesting. I bet they use a lot
shark. Wow, I've got to play that. They probably just there's probably going to be Echo the Dolphin 2, and they just went, let's make it a shark. That'll do.
All they did is just make Echo a shark, just put teeth on them. And
that's what they did. And just one thing on licensing, because there's been, I know since the release of all these games, a lot of people on Twitter and stuff and social media have been saying to Sega, where's Jet Set Radio Future? Because that's one of the biggest games that people are asking for. I believe that's partly down to the licensing issues.
It's got to be.
Sega, I think Sega doesn't own all the rights to the music, for one thing. So that's just one of those big things. They'd need to go back and sort of, talk about, licensing those tracks out and stuff.
Don't you remember back in the day where Xbox, and I'm sure PlayStation allowed you to do this too, but you could just put in your custom soundtrack in any game and just make it play that way? You could put in like a USB stick that had your soundtrack, and it would play in the game, and it would just take over and replace whatever the game soundtrack was.
Do they still do that? Because I do remember doing it on my original Xbox and my Xbox 360, and it being amazing.
They took that shit out of there.
That was so good. That was such a handy thing.
I'm sure the publishers and they killed that real quick. Yeah, so that's no longer.
I rebought the Grand Theft Auto GTA 3 and GTA Vice City on my Xbox because I could play my own soundtracks in that game. I remember that being amazing. I mean, like,
it was so cool. Yeah, you can't do it anymore. But if that would be something that, if they had that feature, they could say, "Oh, we're just gonna put non-licensed, soundtrack in this, and at least we can get away, get away from that standpoint, and then you can use your own soundtrack." So then you could just put in something, and it'd have all the Jet Set Radio soundtrack in there, but there's not the licensed music.
I don't know if it's on PS5, but on Xbox One and stuff, you get the Spotify app. Surely there must be a way that you can have the Spotify app playing in the background while playing the game, and on Spotify they have the Jet Set Radio music.
So but the problem is that there's the music. It would be one thing, but the music's not going to change dynamically.
I don't care.
Like if you
well, for these games,
let's get going.
Okay, let's move on to the next. Let's move on to the next one. So This next one is okay. Now, Chris has got me to do this one because it's got a lot of Japanese names and words in it, and I can't say these names. So
that's not why I.
That is exactly why you
were reading this earlier. I was laughing because you couldn't say them, and then I'm looking forward to this segment for that very reason.
So yeah, I've had to try and do a run through of this before the show. So, and I've actually got the pronunciation for the studio from a Reddit article. But basically, Sega's Ryuga Gotoku. Ryuga Go. Yeah, there we go. Sega's Ryuga Gotoku Studio, also known as the Yakuza Studio. What was that?
Ryuga Gotoku. Gotoku.
Gagotoku.
Ryuga Gotoku.
Anyway. Yeah, or the Yakuza Studio. Let's call them that because that's way easier for me to pronounce. Yeah, they've confirmed about they're currently making Yakuza 8, and this sort of comes after like in October 2021, Yakuza's creator Toshihiro Nagoshi, I think I got that name right, confirmed he was leaving the studio, and he's one of the main founders of the studio. But also joining him in his departure is the series director and producer Daisuke Sato. I think I've got that right. Would you say that's correct, Chris? Daisuke.
I'm sure I'm close enough. Someone will correct you. I'm sure.
Yeah, someone's definitely going to correct me. Yeah. But basically, the new studio's new boss, Masaya Yoshi Yokoyama, has talked about how the departures of the two sort of biggest people in the studio have impacted the studio and what it means for the rest of the franchise, basically. But yeah, one of the cool things though is it's quite interesting. When Nagoshi and Sato announced their departure, they did it on the official Yakuza page. And that's unusual because normally, especially with like a lot of Japanese developers and stuff, when they leave a company, they basically leave and then they announce it on Twitter, for example, or on social media. But they did it on the official website. So it's a bit more of I guess, an official thing. I felt better. And in fact, Yokoyama actually wrote about their departure and stuff, and talking about how it would impact the studio. So, it's actually still available on the website. But one quite cool thing was they actually when it was announced, they put up this cool picture, which I'm going to try and enlarge for everybody to see. That is basically some of the original members of the studio posing, for the camera, obviously, all basically wearing the same clothes, all wearing black suits. But
they look like a bunch of like villains. I love it. They
do. They're like villains from the game, actually. But they are key studio members, basically, and the key development staffers. And it's one of the reasons why they sort of put the photo up was to emphasize that the studio is not just one person. It's all these key people, and they carry the responsibility of ensuring the quality of the studio's games. And in this interview with Famitsu, basically Yokoyama basically said that they're working on developing Yakuza 8, which is awesome. And unfortunately, he's not able to talk about the game much, but it's going to take place a few years after Yakuza 7, and it's going to be a continuation of the overall story. But it's going to continue with the protagonist Ichiban Kasuga, who is from Yakuza Like a Dragon. And based on what we've known previously, I believe hasn't Sega announced that they're moving away from the free action fighting? It's real time fighting. It's going to go more to the turn based fighting. Is that not true?
Yeah. So with Like a Dragon, that was basically it was like a love letter to Dragon Quest in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they switched it to a traditional turn-based fighting system, and Judgment now has the kind of that real-time action of like fighting gameplay that Yakuza has had its whole, the life of its series. So that's kind of interesting. I liked it though. Like a Dragon, I did end up really enjoying the combat system. I thought I was not going to like it, but the way that they allowed you to change jobs, which completely changed your character's play style, was great. And that's not like a novel idea or anything like that. You've been doing that stuff, in video games like the 16-bit era and stuff. But it was just the way they got it all together. I thought that it actually was a pretty intuitive system, and I did like it. And so I'm fine with it with Yakuza continuing as a turn-based RPG. But I'm excited to see more of him. And I thought Ichiban is an awesome protagonist. I think he's a great character. He's funny. You want him to you can't help but root for the guy. He's just down on his luck. He's kind of an idiot, but he's one of those lovable idiots because he's faithful to a fault. He's like headstrong. He's going to run into any situation without freaking thinking it through, and he always gets himself in trouble. And I just think he's an awesome character. And he's a great new character for this franchise that's completely different from what they've had in the past with Yakuza, with Kiryu and everything, which I'm obviously Kiryu's fucking awesome. He's the best. But Ichiban is cool in his own right as well. And I really like him. So I'm looking forward to for more Yakuza, man.
I'm unsure myself because turn-based games are not my favorite thing. I really enjoyed Like a Dragon, though. I think it's a really good game. I'd almost rather have seen this be like a spin-off entry to the main franchise. Like have a few more of those, but have the main entry still being real-time combat. However, you're right. Ichiban is such a fun character, and it makes his world made sense to have the turn-based strategy. As you say, it's like a nod to the sort of the Dragon Quest games and stuff back in the day.
And he's so crazy. Like in his mind, he like lives in a quasi fantasy realm where he sees life as an RPG in a way, and like they integrated that into the gameplay in such a wonderful way that only I think Yakuza Studios can do. They've such a way that they integrate humor and like just serious subject matter and wrap it all together in this wacky gameplay style, and it fits so well, and it should not at all. But I don't know how they made it to 8 games, but here we are.
Yeah, it's so good. One last thing on this. Yokoyama basically said that he really wanted to challenge the studio with a new game, and he also added that the studio is working on an unannounced title. So that's really exciting. So it's not just Yakuza and sort of Judgment coming out from them. They are working on something else by the sounds of it, which is really awesome. And he said, please look forward to what's next from the Ryoga Gotoku studio. Did that work?
You got to keep working on that. Maybe next week. We'll see. We'll see. Along with your Aladdin challenge, we'll have to do another challenge of this. But I wonder if that unannounced game might just be the sequel to Judgment, like the Judgment game. I don't know.
Have they not? I feel like they've announced the sequel to Judgment. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
They may have already. I don't know, and it doesn't say it in his story, but
or maybe they haven't.
So if it's not, that would be interesting because I mean we know that we know Judgment is certainly one of their series that they have, and because they talked about how Judgment's going to be the series that has the more action gameplay style, and Yakuza is going to be the turn-based one. It would be interesting if they would add another, kind of game to their thing. And I don't know if they'd want to do that. I mean, think about that. You're losing Nagoshi, and you're losing some very critical figures who've been there since the beginning. And Nagoshi has played such a huge role in Sega as well over the years. So, I mean, they're losing some really important talent there. I just don't know if that would be interesting if it's a whole new game that this new leadership team is now going to have to kind of spearhead. It'll be interesting how they do that with that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So moving on to the next one. Warner Brothers Games has announced they are doing a...
that one, Graham. Yeah, you got that one. Nail that
One, what Warner Bros. Games? Is that how you say it? Yeah, anyway, Warner Brothers Games. They've announced that they're doing a crossover fighting game called Multiverses. I like it. I like the name. And it emphasizes teamwork and social play in an ever-expanding cast of characters that you know and love. That's what Tony... Oh, God, I can't pronounce this guy's name. Tony Hune? Okay, God. He is the co-founder and game director at Player First Games, which is the development studio behind this. Yeah, wow. Why do I always get the ones with the really hard names? Sorry, God damn it.
So we'll just go through. Why don't you click the link? Why don't we watch the trailer real quick?
Shall I announce some of the characters in it first before we watch the trailer, or?
I thought we'd do that as you're clicking it up.
I'm fine then. Okay, good. Let's do that. Yeah.
So,
cool.
Because we can talk through it as we watch the trailer. But yeah, it's going to have Bugs Bunny. We have Steven Universe, and Graham. I know you're excited about Arya Stark.
Oh yes, yeah, a bit of Arya. Love Arya Stark. But yeah, and they've got Adventure Time, Tom and Jerry, Scooby Doo, and many more apparently. I don't know who Steven Universe is, by the way. Literally never heard of that character in my life. So he's got the curly black hair. He's a cartoon character. It has a very popular. There he is, right there in the red shirt in the star. I have no idea who that is. I have no idea.
That's Steven Universe. I just told you. Now you know who he is.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a little dude, a little kid with a T-shirt with a star on it. Okay.
Yeah, but we also got characters from Adventure Time, Tom and Jerry. We got Scooby Doo here.
Yeah, I didn't know that Game of Thrones is owned by Warner Brothers. What? Like, is that a thing?
Well, I think Warner Brothers also owns HBO.
Ah, do they? So I did not know.
Yeah,
this.
And so it's an HBO product. So that's why you see all this stuff. I guess all the Cartoon Network is all Warner Brothers as well.
Right. Okay. That's cool.
What's interesting though too is that they're getting a lot of the voice cast.
Yes.
In this. So what can you talk about that?
Maisie Williams, Kevin Conroy, Estelle, Matthew Lillard, and so many others. They said are set to voice their Warner Brothers television and film characters, basically. So a lot of the original cast, basically, will be back to voice some of these people, which is really cool. And the game actually looks pretty decent. I mean, it looks basically like Smash Brothers, but looks pretty fun. Looks pretty cool. You can upgrade your characters. You've got like perks and stuff for your characters and things like that. I like how the characters got different styles and costumes. Like they've shown Shaggy doing a few things, and there's one of Shaggy wearing sunglasses and stuff, and he's topless, and he looks pretty cool. So I like what they're doing with this. This looks pretty sweet. Like, what are your thoughts?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not gonna play this game, but it's weird that there's so many. Because I got this mixed up with Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl for a minute, because that was like another game that just came out just recently, and so I saw this. I was like, is that not the same thing? And so I had to look again. It's got a lot of the cast of characters that I really love. I will say that. I love Scooby-Doo. It would be great if they continue adding more and more characters from these. And I think that will be part of what may ultimately decide like how much longevity this game has. Because like look at obviously Smash Brothers does a great job of continuing to add characters to its roster. But I don't think that necessarily is a major factor on its popularity. I think the game will be popular no matter what, because it plays so well. The system, it's so good. And so obviously that's going to be one of the biggest deciding factors. Like how well does this game play, and can it hold a player base for a long enough time to support hopefully some additional characters, because how cool would it be to have more characters from Game of Thrones, like the Mountain and shit like that? Or, like you could get, I don't know, like you could get the Ice King or whatever. Cool. And you know, like, so there's lots of cool things that you could do there with that. And even outside of just Game of Thrones, you have more Scooby-Doo characters that you could do. Have a lot of fun with it. So
yeah,
I'll keep my eye on this. It's a free-to-play game, so it's got that going for it.
Okay.
What do you? When is it? Did it say when the game's supposed to come out?
It's.
I don't know if it has that information.
No. I just saw November the 18th, 2021, but that's when they had a quote or when the article was published. So no, I don't think it's actually got a release date yet. Yeah,
I'm just trying to think when. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it. So
no, that's fine. But yeah, it'd be interesting, as you say. It's going to come down to gameplay and playability because I don't know if you remember they Warner Brothers released Looney Tunes Space Race on the Dreamcast, and I think it was on PlayStation as well back in the day, which is kind of like a Mario Kart clone. It looks beautiful, great list of characters and stuff. It just wasn't a fun game. Like, it's very there's something about it. Like, it could have been amazing, but it's just really boring. Like, I mean,
well, and that it was. The gameplay was pretty rough. The control was a little rough with the things, and the power ups were just very. I want to say they're just real generic.
Yeah, the power ups are generic. I feel like the controls were fine, but there was just something about it. It was boring. The tracks weren't that interesting. It wasn't as. I don't know. There's something about it. It just wasn't as good as Mario Kart. None of the races felt as intense.
I thought visually it looked cool though. It uses that cell shading.
You're thinking Wacky Races.
I am thinking of Wacky Races.
Yeah.
What were you just?
Looney Tunes Space Race. They're two different games.
Oh yes, okay. Yeah. I don't think I've played Space Race.
Oh yeah, so it looks Wacky Races looks a bit better. You're right. The controls on Wacky Races weren't as good, and the game was too hard. Wacky Races is too difficult. Like,
that's what I was going to say. It was really hard too.
Yeah, Looney Tunes is the other way, where it's almost at points you're just riding around on your own. There's no characters near you, and like, no one's attacking me. This is boring, sort of thing. So
I own that game. I don't think I've ever played it.
It's pick it up, but have fun. It's not the worst game I've ever played. It's not as fun as Mario Kart or Diddy Kong Racing or Sonic. Sonic and Sega All Stars Racing. Those are the pinnacle kart races, I'd say. But next bit of news, which I'm actually really excited about, and I saw it pop up on Sega's Twitter feed yesterday, is how Alien Isolation is launching on mobile devices in December, so next month, which blows my mind because if you don't know, Alien Isolation is a gorgeous looking game. It's got a really sophisticated AI for the alien. Because I remember when it was releasing, they were talking about how advanced it was and stuff, and how it can kind of learn some of your habits. And it's not just, it doesn't go around the same way every time. Basically, there's some moments which are set up and staged where the alien will attack you at certain points or whatever, or you'll see the alien, which is like.
Let's watch the trailer as we're talking through this.
Oh, let's watch the trailer. Yes, let's bring up the trailer. Here we go. Let's crack this bad boy open.
And this stars Ridley's daughter. Also,
yes,
right?
This is set after the other Alien movies. And Ridley's daughter's grown up. She's on this space station basically, and and aliens on there basically. That's what we need to know. And some crazy killer robot things, android things.
So this isn't on. Is this not on the Nostromo? Is a different ship?
It's a space station. I think it's not actually a ship. I don't think, unless I got that wrong. I'm pretty sure it's a space station. This one, or maybe it is a ship. I can't actually remember now. It's been a while since I played it because it scared the crap out of me. I will say one thing. They've put it on the right console because this is one of those games that's going to make you want to wet yourself, and you can now play it on the toilet. So the one room that you need to play it in.
This is crazy. It does boggle my mind that we're at a point now where these phones are capable of playing like great console, level games. This is we're getting into a crazy time. I mean, it's been that way for a while, but to see more of this stuff being ported over, I mean, we're getting to the point where there's no reason why you're just not going to be able to have a mobile port of everything. And we'll see it in a minute. I mean, Xbox and Microsoft is doing a great job of ensuring with through the xCloud that you can play, their games on whatever device, you have. But this is like straight up playing like locally on mobile devices and running. I can't wait to try this out and just see how well it runs. I mean, it comes out December 16th. I have an S20, a Galaxy S20. I wonder if that is still capable, because man, I feel like this thing's chugging these days.
But I've got the S20 Ultra, and this is only it's 2 years old now. Hopefully, you'll be able to play. Unless you need to have an iPhone 13. That's the only thing it will run on, basically. But man, I don't know.
I don't know if we said it's going to be $14.99.
$14.99. Yep, brilliant. I don't know what that is. I assume it's going to be a similar price in the UK, because normally whatever it is in dollars, for some reason on app stores it translates into pounds, so you don't normally get much of a discount. But as you say, it blows my mind. I really want to see how it's going to definitely look. So we've seen the trailer, which supposedly is running on the mobile device, but you never know until the game actually releases. So it'd be interesting to see how well it looks and how well it plays. And it's a big game. Like it's kind of blows my mind that it's going to be able to download it. So watch the space, because maybe we'll play it one day. Maybe see if we can hook it up and play it, and man. Anyway,
I'm sure there's a way to do it. There's a way.
Oh, good. Excellent. Nice. So with that, I guess that wraps up the news segment of the show. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks. Oh, actually, do you have any site stuff or anything? Or
yeah, definitely go. So if you want to get your hands on Megavision's issue 1, we have them available on the website. You can go to megavisions.net/shop, where you can go and buy physical version of issue 1. You can also buy a digital version of issue 1 for $2.99. The physical version is $9.99, and we still have some back issues of our old legacy issues of 8 and 9, I believe. I think cool. 7 is. I don't know if we have any of them. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do have a little bit of 8. We still have some more of 9, but there's not a ton left of those. So definitely go check those out. Also check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/megavisions. And that's kind of how we handle all of our subscriptions. And so if you want to basically jump on and subscribe to Megavisions, go there. You don't have to worry about paying anything up front. In fact, we won't even charge any accounts until issue 2 is ready to be sent to the printers. And we haven't announced a release date for issue 2 yet, but our plan is to be coming soon after the new year. So definitely don't wait to jump on to our Patreon, get in there now, and then that way you don't have to worry about it. You have too much on your mind already these days with the holidays coming up. So just jump on now, and you can just kind of forget about it until an issue shows up in your doorstep, Graham.
Brilliant. Love it. Cool. So with that, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great day or great evening, and have a great weekend, and be excellent to each other.
That's right. Take it easy.
Yep.
Honey, I gotta tell you about this sandwich.